Welcome to He's Been Doing It All Day. We're Adam and Symon. This episode brought to you by the Carlton Draft. Check our shirts out for sale. Buy them at the Carlton Draft on Instagram. Check us out on Instagram too, at Been Doing It All Day. And the whole episode is going to be up on YouTube Monday, 7:30pm. Just search for He's Been Doing It All Day. All right, final round of the season. It's round 18.
North Melbourne versus the Eagles. We've bloody done it. We've made it to the end of the regular season. And by this stage, we know what we're going to get from teams, which is why this game was so interesting. Sorry, no, that was a lie. This was a 17th ranked team playing against a 5th ranked team, and both teams did what they should have done. North Melbourne did hold the West Coast Eagles scoreless in the first half, and bona fide A-grader, and He's Been Doing It All Day favourite Jai Simpkin dominated this game with 32 touches. However, it wasn't enough. The Eagles pegged them back slowly but surely, and in the end, it was the Eagles by 15 points.
The Saints versus the Giants. The Giants needed to win this one and then have some goodwill hunting style maths occur in the remaining games for them to make the 8. Well, walk away from the blackboard, Will, because the Giants were absolutely terrible. 1 goal 5 in the first quarter all but sealed their fate. But let's not get bogged down with the loser. Let's put our boots on and go marching in with the Saints because they're playing finals for the first time since 2011. The red, white and black led from go to woe, won the ball both high and low, and put on an absolute show. If it was a country newspaper, the best players would read team effort. However, the medal man Jack Steele continued an outstanding season with 18-2. Rowan marshalled the boys up front with more jacks than a pack of cards. That's right, they had 5 jacks playing tonight, and they locked their spot in October. The Saints by a massive 52 points.
Essendon versus the Demons. Now, with a chance to have a chance on the line for the Demons and John Worsfold's last game, it was clear both teams had something to play for. One team just cared a little bit more. 5 goals in the second quarter put this one to bed. Jaden Hunt kicked 4 goals for the D's from only 7 touches. And now Melbourne's elite put their hopes into a bunch of wharfies from Fremantle. Fingers crossed there's no unions get involved in this one. The D's are alive! The Demons win by 19 points.
Lions versus the Blues. We'll get the sentimental stuff out of the way early. Simpson did the family from 742 Evergreen Terrace proud as we said goodbye to Cade after 342 games, and he capped it off with a beautiful running goal from 45. Farewell, long sleeves, you'll be missed. Now, onto the game. A first and last quarter challenge were about all the Blues could muster as the Lions' roar caused the Blues to cower in the corner. It was unlucky the Lions managed Noah Answorth because they could have done with his arc. The rain was biblical and the Lions dominated the second quarter, kicking 5 and pretty much ending the game at halftime siren. Daniel Rich chipped a couple of goals in at half strength from 65 metres. Lockie did what Lockie does and had 29, and Callum Archie,
bless you,
was chopping off more balls than a cheated on wife. The Blues also didn't kick a point all night. You heard that right. They kicked 10-1 and the 1 was a rushed behind. It's time for Mad Monday for the Baggers. Finals time for the Lions. The Brisbane boys by 17 points.
Crows versus the Tigers. Of all the games that were a foregone conclusion this week, this game was the most foregone. There's something about teams playing for pride that's just a little sad, really. The Crouch brothers have solidified themselves as elite ball winners, and with big sauce Sam Jacobs retiring from GWS, it all but confirms there's a new bottle in town, as ROB, Riley O'Brien, is the new gun redhead in town. But the less said about this game, the better. The Tigers did what they were supposed to do. Josh Caddy kicked 2, Arts kicked 2, Rewalt kicked 2. The Tigers dominated. It was easy for them. The Crows secured their first wooden spoon. The Tiggies by 44 points.
The Hawks versus the Suns. This game meant less than a Thursday night winter Section 5 mixed futsal round 4 match between the bottom sides. Well, that's in terms of the result affecting the 8. But we're in full goodbye season at the moment, and today we waved to Paul Puopolo and the man with a million disjointed tattoos, Ben Strutton. And this one was an easier walk in the park than the population of Melbourne enjoyed in the Saturday sunshine. The Poos and Wees kicked 7 in the first quarter and had their hands on the first beer of Mad Monday by the halftime siren. Tom Mitchell had 34 touches. Jack Shock Gunston kicked 4 majors, but most importantly, proved that there is room for sentiment in the game of AFL as he passed off to Stratton, which was definitely a 10-metre pass, to break the longest active streak of games without a goal as he kicked his second goal in 202 games. The Hawks by 51 points.
Swans versus the Cats. The first quarter in this one was electric. 9 goals total. The Swans kicked 3 in the first 6 minutes, and then the Hoops took the rest of the quarter to peg them back. It was close to within 1 goal by the quarter-time siren. There was an uncomfortable arm wrestle for the Cats until Paddy D took the Swans to the danger field. It's kind of like the danger zone, but on a footy field. It's where the Moggs Creek Fisherman kicks 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the last quarter, takes the lead, then ices the game. The Cats hung on to sneak into the top 4. They won by 7 points.
And then we know you come for your live updates. It's Fremantle versus the Bulldogs, which has a massive result on the top 8. If the Bulldogs win, they're playing finals. If they lose, they're not playing finals. The Bulldogs at the moment leading by 8 points, 7 minutes into the third quarter. Simon, what's happening in the end?
Doggies. I say the Doggies every time. I think they'll just win it.
You definitely do.
I'm 100%.
You definitely do.
I'm all on board
right.
The Doggies. 2016 revisited. Let's go.
And the final game of the season, Port versus the Pies, tomorrow night, Monday night. Who's going to win that?
Port Adelaide, just based on form and general ability, I think.
There you go, and that's it for round 18. Have you got a take for us, Simon?
I do. So, look, I feel like the chat early on this round, North Melbourne played Thursday night, and then by Friday afternoon, they'd cut 11 players from their list. Which
dump
is massive. That's huge because we don't even know what size the lists are going to be next year. So they've just cut 11 guys, and then they've told Ben Brown to explore free agency, so he's another one. And then they've told Pollock to, I don't know, see what he likes, have a little suss around, see if anyone will take him. So they're like up to 13 players who they fully bring the broom out. Which, look, the Kangas finished second bottom. They didn't play particularly well. They didn't have a particularly good game style. There was a lot of things wrong, right? There was a lot of effort, but not a lot of execution. They've also told Sean Higgins that he can keep looking. That it's like, hey,
really?
If you want to stay, you can stay. But if you want to go play for a premiership, you can do that too. So they've said that to him too. That's an unsubstantiated source, being my mum, who said that. She's like, yeah, this is his dead set cert. So, but I want to just more put this back on you guys. What are your thoughts on like the day after your last game? Bang, telling everybody. You don't wait for, your Mad Monday. You don't wait for your B&F. You don't wait for any of that. You just go bang, chopping block, gone. Everyone, see you later.
It makes for a big Mad Monday, that's for sure. But I think you've got to be told early so that then you can explore your opportunities. Like you don't want to be hanging and being like, oh, maybe I'll wait until the best and fairest and they'll tell me that they want me. Like if you haven't been told, if you don't, you probably know 3/4 of the way through the season whether you're going to get another contract anyway.
Yeah, they all know. Those guys they all knew. They didn't have contracts. So like, they've either actually been told or they're reading the tea leaves. But when I saw 11, I was like, is that just a consequence of the list numbers sizes are going to be going down next year? Like, are we going to see more teams that have to cut 11 players? Or was this over and above? Because my first reaction was like, oh, maybe this is actually going to happen with a few teams.
Yeah, like, do you look at the Bombers? Are the Bombers doing the same thing? Yeah, it's massive, bro.
Yeah, huge.
So, like, are the Bombers going to have to do the same thing? Like, are they going to come out?
Well, the Bombers have done.
Thingo?
They've done a couple of gentle ones, like Bell Chambers is gone, Sean McKernan's gone. There's a couple of their like guys who have come out and said like thanks very much, I'm finished.
Yep.
But I think list sizes will be maybe about 37, 38. They're 44 at the moment.
Yeah.
I think
so you got to lose, 7 guys off that anyway. So of the 11, they had to cut 7 anyway, so then they cut a few more on top of that. But you'd look at teams like Hawthorn. Are they going to come out soon and say, bang, all right, everyone's gone? They lost a couple of the old brigade, but they'd be next. Sydney aren't going to lose many, you wouldn't think. They're all just young kids. Adelaide, do they clean house after their game? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting time seeing that. It's just a shock to see 11 people gone in one go. That was like, whoa, okay, whoa. But anyway, so that was my thought. That was my thought for this week, guys.
Yep. All right, Justin, you got one for us?
Yeah, not enough ladder manipulation for my liking. I'm a Hawthorn supporter, as you two know. We went into today third last. So take out like what's going to happen with father-sons this year and academy guys and zone guys, because apparently there's a lot of those. So we would have had pick 3. We won by 10 goals and added 6% on. Went from 78 to 84 and leapfrogged the Swans by having a big win. And now we've got pick 4. Now, if Sydney had won, which they nearly did win by lost by a goal, then it would have been no harm done. But I want pick 3. I don't want pick 4. And I think you papered over the cracks a bit about how big the win was. All the goal, Poppy kicking goals, Strats kicking a goal. Awesome, great day, wonderful. Man, I don't know. Like the Suns, if they'd won today, they would have gone up to pick 6, so they keep pick 5 now. If Sydney looked like they nearly beat Geelong, they would have gone to pick 5 and dropped the Suns back down. So I don't. In 5 years' time, do I care whether we beat Gold Coast in round 18, or do I care whether we got the best young player in the comp, or some dud at pick 4? Like,
Well, we do talk to draft specialist Cal Twomey later, so maybe we'll ask him. We'll ask him the difference between pick 3 and a pick 4, if that's going to be your game changer. Hopefully not. What have you got for us, Adam? Yeah, what's your thought?
I was going to say, before my take, I'd like to give myself a bit of a pat on the back for early in the season calling Hawthorn will finish bottom 4, only to be scoffed out of this podcast by both of you. I said bottom 4, check the tapes, Hawks have finished bottom 4, and they did.
Well, before you get too far ahead of yourself, I'd like to counter with none of us getting the top 8 right. None.
No.
Absolutely not even close. I went with Carlton. That was more of a humorous chance, but anyway.
I'd like to counter by saying Hawthorn beat your pathetic Brisbane Lions, Adam, who are 3 weeks away from choking again, and your wooden spoon-worthy team.
So, hey, bro, I didn't say anything about Hawks.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't care. We beat Richmond and Brisbane this year. I don't know how. I don't know if another team's done that, but what the hell?
Round 1 may as well be 20 years ago. My hot take this week is, and this is obviously coming from a heavy level of bias again, as always, but we do champion bias on this show.
Absolutely.
Is that Brandon Starcevich for the Brisbane Lions is going to be an absolute gun.
I love his name.
He's going to be Brandon Starcevich. He is he's playing halfback at the moment, but I think he'll move into the midfield in the next couple of years. But he's going to be an absolute star of the competition. Mark it now.
The only thing about Brandon Starcevich that disappoints me so far is that he doesn't have a big Gary Ayres type mullet. Like that
He
needs
definitely could.
a big, flowing, permed up mullet. Like just 80s.
Yeah.
Has there been another player called Starcevich? Surely.
Yeah, he's Uncle Craig Starcevich, who played in the 1990 Collingwood Premiership, who's now, I think he's the AFLW coach for the Brisbane Lions as well.
He is, yeah. Yep. And also has a ripping mullet.
Yep. All right, up next, we're talking to Cal Twomey again. Our guest for today, Simon, as we said at the top, is our returning guest, our first returning guest, our favourite AFL journalist, who is the host of the AFL Exchange and AFL Road to the Draft podcast, Cal Twomey. Welcome back, mate.
G'day, Adam. For a second there, I thought you were going to say our favourite returning guest straight after you said our first returning guest.
I thought about it. I did think about it.
No, glad to be back. Obviously, last week was a runaway success, so here we are.
Mate, huge. When the ratings are that high, it's always a good idea to bring him back. You don't kick him to the curb when things work as they did.
Oh, that's what I said when you guys left Gogglebox. So.
We got kicked to the side pretty quickly though, mate. Let's get on to footy though. First question: do you want to break any news on our podcast? We're happy to hear any trade bait stories, anything like that. If you've got anything, let us know.
Well, I saw you went with Joe Daniher to North last week, so maybe that's why they cleared out the decks and axed 11 players just to make up some space in salary cap for him. But no, we'll keep the news for afl.com.au as we do.
Mate, on the North Melbourne thing, 11 players that's easily the most that I could remember in one fell swoop. Because which hub are you based in? What teams are you in there with?
Yeah, I'm with Carlton, who will be out in the next couple of days, and also the Western Bulldogs, who obviously are playing tonight. So, yeah, those two clubs, which is an interesting dynamic in itself, having one side vying for the finals, and the other one this week's hopes all but gone. So that's been interesting. But no, not at North one, which would have been even more interesting.
Yeah, interesting vibe around the place. What are you expecting similar things from Carlton, or because they're obviously in a different position to North Melbourne. They've kind of started their rebuild. They've got lots of young kids, so obviously not a lot more. But are you expecting announcements from Carlton soon?
Yeah, I think most clubs will, to be honest with you. I know Essendon tonight has delisted 5 players. They had some exit interviews over the past couple of days before their game on Saturday. And I'd expect that most clubs will be doing their exit interviews, making those announcements before their players head off, because players are going every which way. Some are going back to their home states, whether that's Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth. A lot are obviously going to stay up as well. So I think, those decisions at all clubs will be made. So, that will be an interesting sort of aspect to it, because these guys have been living together, 24/7 and been on the road for 3 months, 4 months. So, you obviously have to make those decisions before they move on elsewhere. And, tough circumstances to find out in, I'd imagine.
Cal, how many and which of the 11 players do you reckon will get picked up from the Roos? Do you reckon any, or do you reckon some, or is there any specific ones who you, in your personal opinion, without any sort of journalistic news breaking, unless you want to break it on us, we'll let you do that too.
No, I think most are going to struggle. The one I think probably who would appeal to someone potentially is Mason Wood. Can a club say to him, well, he's going to be a free agent this year anyway, so they would have been able to go and get him. But could a club sort of be appealed by the fact that he can do some really exciting things? He just hasn't been able to do that consistently, and he's been sort of probably a frustration for North Melbourne across that time. But throughout his career, he's managed to actually win them a couple of games, and he obviously has that left foot that's pretty exciting, and he's got his way around a goal and a forward line. So, look, he's one that stands out. Jasper Pittard was playing some pretty early doors, but probably I don't think he's going to get another chance. And Majak Daw, you look at athleticism and key defenders, and they're not easy to come by. But in the end, he's played 50-odd games over 11 years, and that probably says enough about sort of where his sort of future is. And the rest, I probably couldn't see getting another go. And there's still a couple more to come at North Melbourne too. They're going to obviously be pretty busy in the trade period with Ben Brown and what happens there. What happens with Jared Pollock as well? He's contracted, but I'd say they'd be open to offers there. And there's a couple of others. Tab Garner is another one who's without a contract. So, that's a massive Rukal, as the headline's been screaming. But, I don't think there's too many surprises in there for me.
What happens with Ben Brown? Do you think, where does he end up? Because the Kangaroos have obviously told him to explore options. Does he end up, where do you think he goes? What clubs does he suit, and where's he's kind of the word on his interest, I suppose?
I think the interesting part for him is that he probably sits as a plan C for a few clubs looking for key forwards, and that's no disrespect to him because he's kicked 60 goals over 3 years. This year's been a shocker from all angles for Ben Brown, but for clubs looking at Jeremy Cameron probably as Exhibit A, Exhibit B maybe is Joe Daniher, and then that's the third in line is Ben Brown. So it's probably the same clubs that have all been linked to those guys, and whether it is Essendon looking for a replacement for Daniher, could they put their hand up and say, we're in for Ben Brown? They had some interest last year. Could it be Collingwood who, let's see how they go in the final series. They probably won't have the cap space to pay for him unless they lose one of the DeGoey or Moore types. Does Brisbane have a look at him as well? Does he suit how they play in that top of the goal square? No. Okay. So that's fair enough. Look, he's got a trick. And some might say he's a one-trick player, but it's a really good trick when he's up and going. I still think he's got worth. But yeah, I do see him. I do see him leaving North Melbourne. I think that when he gets to the point where both parties are seeing how things play out in the off season, it generally only heads one way.
Joe Daniher to North Melbourne, confirmed. We can ready to confirm that this week. You didn't dispute it when we had you on last week. Just checking if you want to confirm it this week.
No, I'll leave the confirmation for that one elsewhere. Look, massive,
fair enough.
Massive decision with Joe, isn't it? Like the implications are everywhere. We talk about then what does Essendon do with its forward stocks, and would they then look at Ben Brown? So like the ripple effect from one big call is enormous. So. Yeah, it's fascinating to see where that one ends up, and I don't think anyone at Essendon's really sure which way it's going to go. I think he's sort of enjoyed the hub environment. he's enjoyed being back on the field. Obviously, that's sort of come hand in hand over the last 4 or 5 weeks. But, yeah, a lot's still up in the air on that front and at Essendon in general.
Do you reckon it's the same with the Dons, with the 5 blokes that have been told that they won't be required next year, similar to your opinion with the Roos, that none of them will get another go? Like McKernan, Hibberd, Much, Begley and Gown, their AFL careers are probably done and dusted?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Mitch Hibberd got a second go. It was good to see him get his second go, but probably wasn't quite up to that level. And Sean McKernan, look, he's tried his hardest, and he's been asked to play a role that was never him. He had to play the Joe Daniher role. He came to Essendon and probably would have hoped to be, the second banana, I guess, or the foil to Joe Daniher. Instead, he's had to play the ruck role. He's had to play around the ground. He's had to play the centre-half forward role. It's been a real challenge for him, and this year he hasn't played very well at all. So I think that the 5 that the Bombers have lost there, on top of the fact they've obviously already seen Connor McKenna and Tom Bellchambers retire, so they're up to 7. And you'd think that a couple more would be on the way too in terms of their listings, as we progress or moving players elsewhere. So there's going to be a fair turnover there in Ben Rutten's first off-season really in charge.
Mate, last question from me. It relates to the Hawks. We just had Justin, our other representative, who's not on this call. He's a big Hawks man, and he was severely disappointed that they pumped the Gold Coast and gave up the third draft pick. Is there going to be much difference this year between the 3rd and the 4th pick?
Massive.
Those drafts?
Massive.
He's going to be stoked.
No, I actually think there's like a group of 4 or 5. We count Jamari Ugle-Hagan probably in that, but then there's Logan McDonald, a key forward, Riley Philthorpe, a key forward, Elijah Holland's a midfielder, and Denver Granger-Barras, who's a key back. I see them as my 5. One of them's going to the Bulldogs, so there's another 4 to get. So I think if you're in that group, you should be getting one of those guys pretty much. So, look, he's still safe, I think, yeah. I think there were some Hawthorn supporters who would have had mixed feelings about today's game, though, that's for sure.
But they're all very happy to send Poppy and Strats off with that for sure.
I know. My timeline was flooded.
Yeah.
Lots of Poppy love.
Seriously. And before we let you go, Cal, who's going to win the premiership and how much are the Brisbane Lions going to win by?
I'm backing the Lions in. I'd love to see the Lions win a premiership this year. It'd be amazing. I'd love to see it. They look like they've started to hit their straps a bit. And look, after last year's disappointment in the final series, I know you felt that firsthand, Adam.
Yep.
You're up there. Sorry to remind you of that one. But look, they
twice.
They can't do it again, can they? So you couldn't expect that they wouldn't win at least one final and get through to a Gabba preliminary final. And at that point, it's all bets are off. So yeah, I'm keen for the Lions to get there, and they've certainly got as many claims on it as anyone. Probably them and the Tigers, I'd say, at the moment.
I love that your reasoning for them winning is that they can't stink it up so much twice.
We didn't stink it up. We just kicked really poorly against Richmond, and then we got rolled in the last 2 minutes against the Giants. That's all it was. The Giants made the grand final, and we gave them a fair old shake up there as well. I reckon we'll be all right.
Stinks.
As long as we win one. Win
Stinky,
one.
mate.
All right, thanks for
Very
joining
stinky.
us, Cal. You can check him out on his podcast, as I said at the top, AFL Exchange, and the Road to the Draft podcast. Thanks, Cal.
Anytime. See you next week.
Thanks, mate.
Yes.
Time for our weekly award where we find out who's been doing it all day. Start us off, Justin.
Yeah, I'm going off field for the first time this year with my
Treat yourself,
my
mate. It's
nomination.
fun. You're going to enjoy this.
And I might even be nominating our first female, but I'm not sure. I'm going with Kelly Underwood. She's been doing it all day.
Oh.
She's the best caller on TV who never gets a game. Only picked one up like a few weeks ago and has done a couple since. Got her today with the Hawks against the Suns. Absolute delight having Kelly.
Yep.
They should just give her...
Yep.
Her and Howie's been a revelation this year as well doing Fox games. He's been good. And I want to give a drive-by to Mark Rasciuto, who was on the boundary line today doing the boundary riding, whatever, for the Fox game. At least on 2 occasions that I counted, he started with, boys, da-da-da-da-da-da, and 1/4 of the people he was talking to were Kelly Underwood. So, Mark Rasciuto, just pull your head in.
Yep, do
Bang,
your research.
Bang. 2 shots. Kelly Underwood. Do you know why Kelly Underwood's so good? Because she doesn't go down like... She doesn't try to make it fancy. She's not trying to like amuse you with. It's like I'm here to watch football.
Yeah.
Entertain me with the football.
She's great.
The football is the entertaining part. Her and Howie,
Yep.
guns. Good call. Very good call.
I'll go. My doing it all day. Also off field. Also commentator based.
Whoa!
But it is commentators using the phrase "bite off." It has been used to death. Oh, he's bitten off that kick. He's bitten off that kick through the middle. The amount of times that I hear it, particularly in the Channel 7 commentary at the moment, but the phrase "bite off" in reference to a kick that goes into the middle, oh, mate, I've heard it too many times. They've used it so much that there's no food left to bite off.
Can we do a segment where we go through each commentator and just say like what their one tagline is? All I'll say is
No, the best one.
Alistair Lynch, he will say elite 48 times a game. And Luke Darcy loves the way he goes about it. I love the way he goes about it.
Yeah. And Dwayne loves a dance step.
Oh, God, the Dwayne
Loves a
pipe.
dance step.
Nah, can't copy.
Did you hear
All
at
right.
the start of the season, Dwayne, when he kept saying shut down, and then someone linked someone at AFL Instagram who has been, mate, they are a worthy nominee for been doing it all week because they are killing it all year with the memes. I'm loving it, and they linked up Dwayne Russell and they played Skepta in the background. He's like shut down, shut down. It was very, very good, very good.
All
That's
right,
not my
finish us off,
nomination
Tom.
this week. My nomination this week, look, guys, sorry to be a bore and bring it back to the field, but my nomination this week is a Brisbane Lion. Adam, you'll be very happy.
Very good.
Daniel Rich, 22 touches from half-back, 10 contested, 86% efficiency, kicked 2 goals, both of them from about 90 metres. No, they weren't 90. They were definitely 60, and he just chips the ball. He got one on the run, took the hand pass, little chip, dinked at 60 metres, and then another one was a set shot. He marked the ball in the centre square, and everyone on the field was like, he'll just kick a goal now. Luke Darcy said straight away, this is a certainty. Like, what guy's catching it and getting a certainty call from 60 metres? Unbelievable.
Adam, you might be able to, you're probably the authority on this. Is he, with the Lions charging towards a flag, is he the number one OG Brisbane Lion right now, Daniel Rich?
Yes. So I think he's been there the longest. I think he was drafted in 2008, so his first year was 2009. So he has played in a winning final, the elimination final that we beat Carlton in 2009. But I think he's been around the longest. I think Zorc came maybe the year after, or maybe even the year after that as a mature age. But I think that Richie is the longest serving Lion. He's the king of the king of the pride.
If there was a reason to get it behind the Lions for the flag this year, I reckon it'd be Daniel Rich. He's a legend, so that would be pretty cool.
Also, when he first came to the club, his nickname was Bam Bam because he looked like a child, but he was as strong as an ox.
And on that point, Justin, I feel like everyone at the moment, half the supporters, you're gone. Half the teams are gone now. There's no finals for half the teams. So now you're just picking who you want to win based on players. And I reckon Daniel Rich that's a great call by you. Very good call.
Yep. All right, thanks for joining us on He's Been Doing It All Day. We're Adam and Symon. This episode brought to you by the Carlton Draft. Our shirts are up for sale on theirs. Just check them out on Instagram at the Carlton Draft, and check us out at Instagram at Been Doing It All Day. The whole episode is going to be up on YouTube Monday at 7:30, and we will see you for finals. We're out of here.
Finals, baby!